very much. Welcome back after the lunch, conference lunch. Final 3 sessions of the day, touching in depth on some of the issues that we've covered this morning. So you'll have a great opportunity to look at PPP and energy, mining sector, where it's heading, particularly the transport sector as well, and closing with an outlook on rural and urban growth. The disparity between the two, what is being done to develop the rural area. So for this session, transport infrastructure, we have got 3 panelists and director from the Ministry of Transportation, William Nathma, and the panelists are William Dax, Senior Executive Technical, Water Management Agency, Tony Stanning, Managing Director, East and Horn of Africa, Boloro Africa Logistics, and Philip Wambangu, am I right? Director of Infrastructure, EAC. So format remains unchanged, 3 minutes briefing, discussion, and open up the floor for questions.
Hello. My name is William Sharma, the Director of Transport Services in the Ministry of Transport. As you are aware, the ministry has been split from the Ministry of Infrastructure Development to the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of Transport. The Ministry of Transport deals with the maritime transport, air transport, and the railway transport. And also, we normally also deal with the transport services in the roads, but road works are under the Ministry of Works. So most of issues dealing with the road infrastructure are under the Ministry of Works. First of all, I'd like to convey the minister is not here. I was supposed to be here. He apologized because there was a change of timetable. The dates I think were changed, so he couldn't make it today. He's out of the city. But otherwise, the ministry has a lot of work, especially to coordinate infrastructure development in the subsectors of railway, ports, and air transport. We've had a number of drawbacks, especially in the railway transport, because of we had under the Ministry of Infrastructure, our main efforts were to develop the roads, and little attention was given to the railway infrastructure. And the ministry priority now is the railway development. We want to develop the railway network. We have 2 railway networks, the Tazara and the Central Line. And also our another priority will be the port development. We want to make use of the geographical location of Tanzania. We have a very long coastline of 700 kilometers with the 3 main ports, the Dar es Salaam port being the main port, Mtwara, and also the Tanga port. These 3 ports serve our neighbors, especially Zambia, DRC, recent part, Burundi, Rwanda, and partly Uganda, and of course also serve Malawi on the south. So those are the main countries who depend on the ports on our coastline. And also the 2 main corridors, the central corridor and the southern corridor, serve the 5 countries I mentioned. And therefore the development of the railway network and the ports, those are very important in the East, especially for our transport sector, both for local goods and also to our neighbors. Air transport is also very important for domestic transport, and also for the passenger services outside and locally. We have developed a number of airports at the moment. The Julius Nyerere International Airport, which is our main airport for international and the local transport. Kilimanjaro International Airport in the north, Mwanza. We are currently developing a new international airport in Mbeya. This is Isongwe. And we have 4 other airports which are under development. We are doing an improvement on the runways and also terminal buildings. In short, the ministry is very busy trying to revamp the air transport, the rail transport, and the maritime transport for both local and international or the regional transport.
As the Prime Minister mentioned earlier this morning, Tanzania is blessed in its location, and it's blessed with its coastline. We manage many ports and, in fact, some railways in Africa, and it can be blessed in its location, but it has to be managed, and the process has to move forward. So, for me, this is a very important subject, and it's a subject I feel quite passionate about, actually. And if Tanzania is to move forward economically, this is an area that must be addressed. For example, yesterday I was in Mombasa at a meeting of the privatization of part of the port of Mombasa. So we had members of parliament, we had KPA there, and we had other stakeholders present. Their intention is to extend the existing berths with a large Japanese donation, privatize part of the existing terminal, so that Mombasa can handle around 1.5 million TEUs per year. Today, Tanzania is doing about 450,000 TEUs per year. So for Tanzania to move forward, it has to move now, and it has to take advantage of its unique location. And what is its unique location? Is primarily it can serve so many countries from this particular location. So it is blessed in that regard. So it needs to act on that. I understand that it is moving forward on that. But it's also, when you talk about port concessioning, it is a highly political situation, and it has to be approached with great sensitivity, because we're dealing with many forces as far as that is concerned, and it needs a lot of dialogue. And we know what happened here with the TICS concession under Hutchinson's, which has been in the papers for years. Yes, no, good, bad. So it needs to be done properly and in conjunction with as many people as possible, but the opportunities are here. The other thing that's important is the railway, because we have, as was mentioned by the honourable gentleman, we have two railways. One which is built by the Chinese, serving the Copper Belt, and the old East African railways, which is running through to Arusha and to Kigoma. And in Kigoma, we for 60 years had the concession of the port in Kigoma. We lost it in 2008. No cargo moves to Kigoma anymore, because the rail is not operating between Dar es Salaam and Kigoma. So the whole way of moving cargo to that part of the country and then into the countries of Burundi and Eastern Congo has actually been is moving now by road or through an alternative corridor. So an opportunity is lost. So I think Tanzania needs to move very quickly, and both from a rail and from a point of view. Also part of the East African community. This, I believe, has a real force to it. It's a community of 140 million people. I'm sure South Sudan will be part of that community in the next 1 to 2 years. You'll have free movement of labor. Thank you. You'll have the harmonization of the customs documentation. And Tanzania needs to embrace that and have a political will to take advantage of it, because it has a tremendous impact on the way goods are transported. Today, the cost of transporting goods is not, as we highlighted this morning, just a sheer transport aspect. It's the delay here in Dar es Salaam. The average dwell time of a container sitting in the port or an ICD before it moves is something like 24 days. So before you even start, it's $250 in storage charges. So these processes need to be addressed. They have been talked about, and it's very important that it's not just talking, but action is taken from there. So political will, all stakeholders involved, with a real dynamic to change that, I think is very, very important. The other question was, can railways be self-sustaining? We run two railways, one in Ivory Coast, which is not a good case today, and one in Cameroon. Both these railways are self-sustaining. They operate through the country to the surrounding hinterland countries, to those respective countries. What was important on those concessions, which we got about 8 or 9 years ago, was how the deal was structured, how it was put together, what we committed to invest, what was the role of the government, and what was the role of private business to making it work. And they have been successful in terms of profitability for the investor and how well they work in terms of moving cargo. And a country like this, which is so large, must have a strong railway network. And we had, in this case, strong political will and support. I think the other question raised here, which is just the final point, is on Chinese investment. You know, we have operations throughout Africa, and we can see the extent of the influence of Chinese business and government in Africa today. And it's large. Obviously, it's normally in countries that have mineral resources. So you'll find many Chinese maybe in Tanzania, but you won't find any in Kenya. So they tend to move where there's mineral resources. And obviously, with the railway to Zara, which they're supporting heavily in a renovation, which is to move the copper both from Lubumbashi and Zambia out. So I think they have improved the situation. I certainly think they've improved the road situation. Okay, their funding and investment policy is quite different and a different model, but I think they are an important player and can lead to an improvement in the infrastructure in Africa. Thank you very much.